Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we have started the discussion over the fundamental rights. Okay. And so far we have covered the various rights. Okay. And basically in this lecture, we are going to start with another important topic. And in the previous lecture, basically, we had covered the right to religion, right? Okay. And we know that in the right to religion, there are 4 articles, like Article 25. Okay. Article 26, 27, 28. Okay. So these are the 4 articles which have been promised under the under the right to religion. Right. So now, before starting the another important topic, you are required to tell me what are the provisions of these fundamental articles. Okay. For this, you have this time the 40 seconds, and I will give you the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, the times. So basically, if we talk about the first one, Article 25. So Article 25 having the provision for freedom of conscience, faith, and belief. Okay, this is the first thing. If we talk about the 26, it is freedom of maintaining religious affairs. All right. If we talk about 27, this is freedom of not paying taxes for religious promotion or religion. And the 28 is freedom of not attending religious instructions. Okay, so these 4 are the part of right to religion, and these are the provisions. Okay, so that's what we had covered in the previous lecture. So now we will start from where we had left in the previous one. Okay, so right now we are going to talk about the right to culture. Okay, we are going to talk about the right to culture, and right to culture having the 2 articles. Article 29 and Article 30. Okay, so these 2 are the part of the right to culture. So if we look at the first one, protection of interest of minorities. So it is basically promised by article number 29. Okay. So before starting this, let us connect it with the historical aspect. Then only you will be able to grasp it in a proper sense. So basically, if we talk about the historical aspect, so whenever we define population of a territory, or you can say population of a territory or area, okay, whenever we talk about it, so this is, you can say, not possible that the entire population will be homogeneous. Or having the common culture. Okay, that is not possible. All right. So basically, if it is not possible, the population could not be a homogeneous or common culture. So there is another possibility, like the population will be heterogeneous or will be of the different cultures. Okay. So this is what the reality is. The population of the territory of or an area is always heterogeneous or belong to the different culture. So if this is the reality, let me call it reality. Okay. So what is the condition here? There will be two sects. Majority ones and then comes the minority ones. Okay, this will be the condition. So if we look from this point of view, so if we connect it with the history, always there is a history that the majority was suppressing the minority. Okay, why? Because the minority ones are not so capable to maintain their culture, their language, and their script because of the less representation in the population of certain territory or an area. Okay, that is the thing. But when we talk about it in the scenario of democracy, so basically democracy stands for the well-being of all, whether they belong to the majority or minority. All right. So that's why India is the world's largest democracy. So we have the responsibilities that we will ensure the minority groups who are living in our population, who are living in our societies, who are living in this country, their rights, their things, their cultures, their language, script, and all must be protected. That's why we have a dedicated articles for it. And even these articles are not put under the ideal cases. Like, okay, the government will take action on it, the government might take action on it, ideal cases, or you can say of non-enforceable natures. All right. Not like this. Why? Because this is totally then depends upon the discretionary powers of the government. Like if the government wants to do it, the government will make laws on it. If the government do not want to do it, the government will not make law on it. Okay. And when we talk about the democratic country, so there is a one thing which is could not be, you can say, ignored. That is the election. Like in democracies, there are the elections. Election part is there. All right. Like if we talk about India, then after every 5 years, there will be a general election, right? General elections, and in general elections, many parties contest. For example, there is a five parties. For example, okay, these five parties are participating and contesting against each other in the general elections. Okay, and from whom they require the votes? They require the vote from the general people or general population, right? And the party which will secure maximum vote, the party will get a chance to form the government. Suppose if in this case we declare that A will have the maximum votes. So technically A will secure the maximum seats in government, and thus the party A will form the government. All right. So if you look at from this point of view, what you will think? If there are two sections of the society, like the majority ones, like the minority ones. All right. So if we go by the majority ones, it means their population is high, their votes are high in comparison with the minority ones. So whatsoever the parties will contest and whatsoever party will form the government, their focus will always on be the majority ones. Why? Because they having maximum number of votes. Okay, they will have the maximum number of votes. So that's why if we go with the discretionary power of the legislation, so legislation has been formed by the political party, and the political party requires a vote so that they will form a government next time also. All right. So because of that reasons, basically instead of maintain it as an idle case or non-enforceable in nature, we included it in the fundamental rights, because then it will no longer depend upon the discretionary powers, and even this will become a enforceable in courts. Got it? So this is just how you can say overview about these things. Okay. So if we connect it with the topic, then remember Article 29 is there in the Constitution of India, which basically provides for that any section of the citizens residing in any part of India, if they having the distinct language, which is not a language of majority, okay, they having the different script, they having the different culture of its own. It means that this culture language script must be unique and must not be a language script or culture of masses. And technically, if we take it that this must be belong to the minority category or having the distinction or uniqueness. Okay. So they must have the right to conserve the same. Like they could maintain their identity even in living in the heterogeneous society where they are in the minority and the rest of the, you can say, the ethnicities are in the majority. Further, no citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institutions which has been maintained by the state or receiving aid out of the state funds on the basis of these grounds: religion, race, caste, or language. Okay. But remember, this is basically to the institutions which are maintaining by the states or which have been receiving the aid from the state funds. Okay. The first provision protects the right of a group, while the second one provision guarantees the right of a citizen. Okay. Like basically, if we talk about the minority, so the minority will be indicating some part of the society. All right. There must be some individuals who are living together but who belong to a different language, script, and culture, which is not the language, script, or culture of the masses. So the first thing is for this. But if we talk about the second one, so second one basically having the individualistic approach. Which means what? Which means that right now, instead of talking about the masses, we are only talking about the particular individual who is seeking the admission into the educational institutions maintained by the state or receiving aid by the state. So that particular individual could not be differentiated just only because he belonged to the some different religion, which is not the religion of masses, belong to the different caste, which is not the caste of the masses, belong to a different race, which is not the race of the masses, belong to the different language category, which is not the language of the masses. All right. But remember, this is nothing like this. Only the minority ones are protected. Because if you look at here, so what you will see, individuals, irrespective of the community to which he belongs, like even if the individuals belong to the majority ones, then still he could not be differentiated. All right. Thereafter, Article 29 grants protection to both the religious minorities as well as the linguistic minorities. Okay. If we take it further, so we could say, suppose there are always two types of minorities: religious and then comes the linguistic. Okay. So let's try to understand it. For religious, let's take an example of Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Christians, Jains, Buddhist, Jewish. Okay. So if you look at here, we know in India the Hindus are in the majority. Then comes the Muslims, then Sikhs, Christians, Jains, Buddhist, Jewish. Okay. But remember, this is not the official data I'm showing you. Please mark my words. This is not the official data. Okay. This sequence might be changed from here. All right. But I'm just trying to give you an overview so that you could group the concept and the facts and figures in the proper way. Okay. So that's why this is the religious minorities. All right. Who belong to some different religions. But within the same religions, there must be some different ethnic and the language groups. All right. Like if we talk about the Hindus, for example, if we talk about the Hindus, then in Hindus, we know there are so many languages spoken. Like some spoke Hindi, okay, some spoke Kannada, all right, some spoke Punjabi, all right, some speak like you can say the Bhojpuri and all right. This is the thing. Similarly, if we talk about the another major religion of country, which is the Islamic or the Muslim religion, so in Muslims there are so many people who speak Urdu, some speak Persians, okay, some speak you can say Malabari language, all right, some speaking Hyderabadi, All right. So if you look at here, what you are seeing, that if we compare them, Hindi is the majority section. All right. Because entire north and till the central India, the most spoken language is Hindi. In comparison with this, Kannada, Punjabi, and Bhojpuri, these are basically the, you can say, concentrated to some states only. All right. Students, it's my humble request to you, kindly just take it, for example, kindly just take it to understand the facts and figures. I'm not going to against any state, any language, any all. This is just for so that we could understand the reality on the ground. Okay. Please do not attach your emotions here, only maintain your rationality here. All right. Similarly, if we come to the another religion, so we know Muslims, the Urdu is in the majority. Okay. While the other ones like Persian, Malabari, and the Hyderabadi, these are of the minority sections. Okay. They belong to the Muslim religion, but they do not belong to the people who speak Urdu. So we can say that within the same linguistic minorities, there must be religious minorities. Within the same religious minorities, there must be some linguistic minorities. Okay. So these are basically interconnected to each other. Okay. These are interconnected to each other. These are not separated. Okay. For example, you can say if you are Hindi speaking people, okay, in your neighborhood you have a people who belong to Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Jains, Buddhists, Jewish religions, but they are speaking the same language. If you are taking the same religion, you will find that there are people who belong to your religion, but who could not speak the language in which you are saying and which you are speaking. All right. So they both are interconnected. So basically, when we talk about the Article 29, so instead of providing the protection on the religious or the linguistic basis, this provide the protection on both, whether you are religious minorities or the linguistic minorities. But remember, there must be a thing that you must have distinction in your culture, language, script, and customs. Because if you do not have these things, you won't be recognized as a minority. If your things matches with the majority, you will be granted under the majority. Thereafter, however, the Supreme Court held that the scope of this article is not necessarily restricted to the minorities only, as it is commonly assumed to be. All right, like in the, you can say in the second provision we had seen that some protection, like the equality protection, or you can say protection of equality principles, basically ground out on, or you can say ground out irrespective of religion or community. So the same thing the Supreme Court also held in its statement. This is because the use of words section of the citizens in the article that include minorities as well as majority. Why? Because I have told you, when we talk about the population of certain area, population of certain area, so in practical it is not possible that the population will be homogeneous. Okay, if we take it in a practical way, if we take it in the ideal case, then this might be the condition, but in the practical case, the situation, or sorry, the population of the area will never be a homogeneous. It will always be a heterogeneous or belong to the different cultures, customs, and the societies. So that's why this will have a general division like the majority ones and the minority ones. Majority ones and the minority ones. So this is the sections of the society. So if we look at the statement given by the Supreme Court and then we match it with the drawn results which we have just done, so we could say that the statements are correctly matched with each other. Supreme Court said the section of the societies includes the minorities and the majority, and how it is practically done, we have done it here. All right. Thereafter, the Supreme Court also held that the right to conserve the language includes the right to agitate for the protection of the language. All right. And when we go further, we will see that there are some autonomous grants which have been also provided to certain areas, certain classes, and certain caste. Okay. Hence, the political speeches or promises made for the conservation of language of a section of citizens does not amount to corrupt practice under the Representation of the People's Act 1951. Okay. This is the thing. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished it here. In the next lecture, we will continue from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture and be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.